Yeah. Welcome everyone.
Hello, everybody.
Oh,
Oh, wow. I'm looking at all the faces. The ones I know and the ones I don't.
ah,
What are you eyeing over?
I just saw Eugene and I got really excited.
Oh, Eugene.
Awesome.
Hello, Eugene.
Let's get we'll give people another minute to come in, and or so before we get started. I'd love to get one word, and then I'll introduce Valerie. Would love to get one word of your current state in the chat. Love, enthusiasm, chopping wood, calm, still. Awesome. Thank you, guys. It is my pleasure and my honor to introduce Valerie Daniel. I'm going to pull up her official bio because I like it, but Valerie's just one of my dearest friends and the people I admire and respect the most. She's just a lovely, wonderful person. It's a treat to get to share her wisdom and just herself with you guys. So Valerie's one of the world's most sought after circling leaders and a certified professional and personal coach. She brings a refreshing candor and insight to the process of awakening the body to feel, experience, and express life through leading practices of presence and awareness. And one thing her bio doesn't mention is basically a lifetime of corporate leadership. Before being a woman in leadership in a corporation was, it was even harder then, I think, than it is today. So without further ado, I want to welcome you, Valerie.
Thank you. Thank you, Jordan. So lovely to have you all here. And it's lovely to be introduced by Jordan. He's the reason I started doing this practice. I went to an intro night that I was doing it for a favor for a friend. I had no intention of ever doing this practice. I was just going to be there and I could do anything for 2 hours. And what I saw in him was something I wanted. That ability to be in the moment, like to live right there. Somebody's telling me my sound is low and I'm gonna fix it. Is that better? Does it sound any better? Or is it just, let's see, let me click this thing and see if that works. It's we can't do the thing with it loud enough. Is it better?
Try taking your headphones off. That might help. Like unplugging it.
Does that work?
Are you totally unplugged?
Oh, wait. Nope. Is that good? Really good. Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot better. I didn't even think it was bad.
Oh, and then I don't have these things in my ears. That's awesome. So that's what started this, was wanting that immediacy, wanting to be able to know what I thought and what I felt in the moment and actually speak to it. none of which I was very good at. So it touches me that he's introduced me here. And I thought about what I wanted to talk about with those of you who have just maybe heard a little bit about circling. Like maybe you've done one practice and that's all. And what I wish someone had slipped me a cheat sheet on and said, here's your decoder. Here's as you get on this road, these are the things I want you to know. Right. And the first has to do with this whole idea of connection. We have this principle. Somebody hadn't tried it yet. Awesome. Well, then you're going to have the cheat sheet before you ever go in. It'll be better. And I thought that being committed to connection meant that I had to be like one with you. I had to be up here. And it gave me this, I can't do that sense. What if that's not true? That's just me failing at this. And it was actually just about a month ago, I woke up and went, no, the commitment is to be aware of how connected I feel in a situation or with my body or whatever. It's not about a rightness or wrongness, about where I am on the continuum. It's just about being aware of the continuum. What a relief. And something that I wasn't very good at. I like even noticing, right? How connected do I feel? Like right now, I saw several nods when I said that about the continuum, and I went, oh yeah, okay. Somebody's with me. The other thing about this continuum is that disconnect is on that continuum. I feel disconnected, right? Or the quality or the flavor of the connection. Like I feel angry, and in some ways I feel quite connected, but I'm connected with you in anger, right? This connection continuum is a great way in, because then you ask, okay, what's this connection like? Okay, now I've said how connected I feel, and now what's it like, right? This will serve you just all the time. The next thing that seems important is bringing what you got, not what you're supposed to have. It's kind of related to the first one. I want to give you an example. I was on Circle Anywhere. This is our online program. We have like 5, 8, I don't know. They keep adding sessions. I can't keep track a day of circles. And Jordan was actually circling me as a part of our group. Something was coming up. He was kind of penetrating a bit. And all of a sudden I was like having none of it. My defense, I remember I wanted to spit out of the side of my mouth like somebody in a Western, you know. It was like I was Clint Eastwood or something, and I was like, no. And in allowing myself, instead of, you know, like I formerly had told myself, defensiveness is me not being here with you. Defensiveness is the thing I need to go around, right? That's the thing that I should throw in the trash can, because so I can be connected. No, defense was what was here, and I brought it. And all of a sudden, I saw these defenses as parts of myself that loved me and wanted to protect me. And and even though they were misguided, it's like a dog that thinks that this person you love is going to bite you. It changed it changed something in me about how I saw myself. And I burst into tears at this sense that my defenses loved me. And then what happened was even more interesting. For 3 or 4 weeks afterward, I would just break into tears continually about how beautiful people were. It put me in some altered state. Who could have known that bringing my defensiveness could have ended in this transforming place? It's inexplicable, and the timing of it happens when it happens. I don't even see any rhyme nor reason, almost, other than that you bring what you got, even your shadow. Yes. It's I find myself almost speechless as I speak of this to you all. I'm in awe of the things I don't understand about the simplicity of bringing what's happening, even the thing that seems like, oh, I don't bring this. I think the one thing that's important about it, though, is that there be a degree of, I'm pretty defensive right now. Right? Something that's curious about what's happening. Right? That isn't just drowning in it, but can actually kind of look at it at the same time as being in it. And go, wow, you are one of my dearest friends, and I am so defensive. Man, I gotta read this, Prince, of this thing you just said. Bring a degree of Yes, Some call it curiosity. I think is better. Yes. So I'd like us to take a moment and maybe do a meditation together around connection. So you can have your eyes closed or open. I'm going to close mine just so I'm not distracted by looking at your faces. I noticed a trembling in me that I wasn't aware of before I closed my eyes. Some way that I wasn't as completely with my body as I am now. And I'm allowing that to be okay with me. I want you to look at what's happening for you. How connected do you feel in this moment?
with you. With me. Do you want to move away from my voice or toward it? Is it distant or close? Maybe it's so close that you can feel the vibration of my voice in your body. Felt warmth as I said that, just thinking maybe one person is there with me. Maybe your video's off and you're doing something else. What's that like? Is it okay to be where you are? Just noticing. What's the quality of it? Not a good or badness. Sense of texture. What is your experience? Is there something that comes in that you didn't expect, or your version of something you might normally throw in the trash can? Bring what you got. Now I'd like for us to come back together. Just closing out this moment. What was it like? Take you out and I expect you to type right away, and I don't actually expect you to. Expect you to trust yourselves. Yeah, stiff, delightful. Setting your own boundary. Yes, illuminating. Oh. Floating away my thoughts. Yes. Cool. We talked a little bit about something before we came on here, about making this interactive with Jordan and I. And I would welcome that, Jordan, if you'd like to do it.
Awesome. The first thing that comes to mind is I'm like, tell me more about, or tell us more about not what you're supposed to have.
Yeah. What you're supposed to have is perfect attunement with whoever you're with.
This is in quotes, just to be clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And certainly not the body I brought to this practice. I came from a strong meditation background, and I was very present in my solo meditation. And I mean it, I was very present in that place, right? And then I come into this circling practice, and all of a sudden, these humans have come into my presence, and I've lost a lot of presence. I realized my body is numb. That in a lot of human interactions, I couldn't feel my body. It was numb. And I thought I was supposed to be able to feel what the rest of the people seemed to be feeling. I would look around and go, oh, no, they can't be feeling that much. Certainly they can't be feeling that much in their body. And they were. And it's the first time I realized maybe that's why I'm not good at dancing. Is I don't feel what a lot of people feel, right? You know, I had a childhood that, you know, probably helped with that. And I just thought at the moment that I sucked at staying with the level of sensation. And what I came to realize is no, that's what I get to bring. My numbness. And finally, I started allowing my numbness to be. And it started whispering a bit. Just ever so slowly, it started to whisper. I see Johanna nodding. And it's almost as if my body needed to gain my trust, that I would really listen. And for those of you who can relate, I just want you to know that these numb bodies usually have the most to say. They do that in their time. They do that when you're ready to listen. And then it becomes this extraordinary adventure. And mine is just singing right now as I see these comments. And I think of what an amazing thing it is that I can feel that. How far this practice of just bringing what we got and being with it and being with the reflection from other human beings has done. Yeah.
I'm wondering if you could speak a little more about that adventure. You know, these numb bodies have so much to say because it, like any good hero story, it can be pretty harrowing at times, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is so funny. My body is just on fire. And so it's like, I've been talking about it. And so it's like taken over in a way. The adventure looks like going from a person who, like, there's this present moment and something that has a bit of high stakes is going on. And I wouldn't know how I felt about it. I wouldn't know if I needed to say yes, or I needed to set a boundary, or I should be angry, because this whole barometer was not available to me. And beginning to have that come online to where I go, no, I don't think I want that. Or yes, was an amazing thing. For a while, when I started circling, I would take things that happened in the circle and I would package them up and put them in my pocket and take them out about 3 days later and go, okay, what did I feel about that? And what should I have said? And sometimes I would poll other people about what I should have said. That's called not trusting your experience. But hey, you have to start where you are. And so that's how I started. I would process afterwards. Right? And then it was 2 days. And then 1 day. And then there came to be places where I was on it. And being on it means that I was actionable in the moment. I was there for that moment that you miss. You know, you miss the moment and sometimes it's gone. That guy that said he wanted to go out, he took it really personally. He never asked you out again. And being there for that moment, right? It's a very different thing. It's exponentially different. And I can't say that I'm 100% online. My body still goes numb sometimes. And sometimes I trust it. I think it probably went numb for a reason. I think that must be a no. There's probably more to say about the adventure, but that's what occurs for me right now.
Well, when you say like it's a very different world, it's like almost like I can tap into that in myself, that the whole range of that aliveness opening up. Can you say more about that for you, the very different world?
Oh. Well, this is an example of that very different world. God, there's so many things that get to flit through my mind that I can't. I think one of the important things that's changed is I do love the truth. I was afraid of the truth. Somehow afraid that the truth would harm me. That it was going to add to my shame or something. Now I don't have nearly as much shame through circling through this process of speaking and people reflecting back and me offering the thing that I have in front of me, right? Those things just, there's a lot more acceptance in me of me and of other people. I had something and it's gone. It just went. And
there's so much I want to ask you, and it looks like there's amazing comments as well. There's just some really beautiful gratitude for that meditation, and people seems like kind of finding their own bodies right now.
cool.
And a kind of deeper love or appreciation for where we're numb and the natural timing.
If I don't do anything else in this session, then that will be enough. If you can have an appreciation for that, it will yield more riches. because most of us just wants to be appreciated. And things happen when we allow ourselves to appreciate what seemed something to be ashamed of. Oh. Thank you, Eugene. Yeah, everything that arises, amen. Oh.
Someone's asking about, how do you become aware of your defensiveness?
Of your innocence.
Oh, defensiveness, but
Defensiveness, yeah.
same question.
Yeah. First, defensiveness. Well, let's see, my first awareness of my defensiveness is somebody would call me a defensive and I would say, no, I'm not. That was my first initiation to my defensiveness, was my defensiveness of my defensiveness, right? And my denial of my defensiveness, or the fact that I was angry about my defensiveness, anyway. And then I think the next time actually I really caught it was that time with Jordan. It came out of nowhere. But I saw it then not as something to be so ashamed of that I was in denial of it, but actually as something that loved me. There were other places, there were places where like I think I hated myself. And then I would realize, no, it was just a part of me that thought, if I beat the shit out of Valerie enough, then she'll get in a line so she'll never feel this way again. So even that loved me. It's just a weird contorted way. And I think there's a way in seeing even the innocence in that, right?
Yeah, and there's something that I don't know if you can speak to about loving and seeing the innocence of that, and also changing, or like someone said, setting boundaries. Or it seems like you've really went on a journey with that too.
Yeah, the boundaries came kind of late. I think anger and boundaries came on kind of late in this process, right? They were the last things to come online. And I want to read this comment for some reason. I'm just going to trust it that I want to read it. Boundaries are tricky. And now they've become more artful. Like they're supple, and they breathe, and they move according to what's happening in the moment. Because I update so much quicker. Like, I'm available for what's happening with you. And so what was a boundary changes as you speak to me, and I'm impacted, and I go, oh, I don't need a boundary here. Or no, I really do need a boundary here. And it can change like that. Or they can curve. They're not hard. They're not made of brick. They breathe, they move, they adjust. It's again that aliveness, that place where I can trust. And they feel different to other people because they don't run up on them like this, right? They can feel that I'm in. Unless, of course, there are places where there are boundaries that are just like that. Let's not forget those.
Sometimes you just need a hard no.
Sometimes you just have to have a hard no. That's right. That's right. Anger lets us know of boundaries, absolutely. And then there's a place, but yes, anger lets me know that something needs my attention. Something wants my attention. And then I get to look at what that is. But there's also a place now where I don't have to get angry to set a boundary. I can just sense that this thing needs a no. Oh. I looked, I went, I don't have any idea what time it is. It could have been 2 hours, and it's only been like 37 minutes. Say more about how, wait a minute, how defensiveness loved you. Well, it was actually not defensiveness that loved me. My defenses loved me. The thing that rushed in to protect me when it thought that Jordan was getting a little too close, right? I saw them as big black dogs that were standing in front of me, between me and Jordan, growling. And I realized in the moment that I didn't need them to stand up and growl, but I loved them for it. I realized they loved me. And even though they weren't doing what I needed, I didn't really need to push Jordan away. I could see their innocence and I could see their love. And the strangest thing happened. My dogs didn't go away, but they started to lay down because I was more trustworthy. I was more online for what was happening, right? And so there wasn't such a, I want to say binary, and I don't know why, like just an on and off, right? There was more of this, more attuned, more accuracy available.
Right. It's not, your dogs actually are, even right now, they're ready, but they're actually more trusting of you. Like they come on your command now.
Yeah, they come on my command, and I can growl. I mean, yes, no doubt.
Yeah, when you need it.
When I need it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about myself, like, you know, when I think about that, oh yeah, I can just bring what I got and not what I'm supposed to have. A lot of times what I'm supposed to have is like, I'm supposed to be somehow perfect or have it all figured out. And so there's another kind of teaching in that you've distilled in such a beautiful way, that it's like being willing to come unfinished. Not just the stuff I'm ashamed of that's pushed away, but also the half-baked cake.
Yeah, it's trusting you all. I love that question. It's like a lot of times, and you'll find that if you do go into circling, you'll find that it's like there's something alive and it's confusing and I don't understand it all. I've got like 25% of it. And there's this desire to, oh, I have to have all this complete and finished, and I have to have the cake iced before I deliver it out into the circle for you to all look at and tell me it's good. And instead that, like, okay, I don't understand all this, and I don't even know exactly what's going on, but this is what's happening. And allowing you all to help me see what I can't see, or to reflect back to me things that I couldn't see without you. Right? It's that trusting beyond me. I began to trust you. And I can let you in. The more I trust me, the more I can trust you. And I can trust you to help me with my cake. And it's a better cake because I've got you. And you can see things I can't see. This is so fun. I love being asked questions. I think this is my favorite way of doing this.
Well, there's a bunch of questions coming in, and so I think we'll just keep going because I'm
Okay.
loving it too. And
Okay.
and I just love you. I think there's a lot of that too going on. I see in the crowd as well, just smiles and your kind of radiance, your voice, your story, and your honesty, your willingness to just share your journey. It's just inspiring.
It actually, it's not scary for me to be this honest. It's just been hard, and sharing it with you guys is like honoring it, like going, here, take this. How did I release shame? Whoa. I think shame used to be at the heart of my living, in a way. That one was hard to say. Shame was a big part, just feeling fundamentally flawed. And lots of books will tell you that shame doesn't do well when it's exposed. It gets smaller as it's shared. But the key is that it has to be with people who've earned the right to hear it. And so having discernment about that, but certainly this practice has done that for me. I don't open an artery and bleed. I don't come in with some massive vulnerability that just says, I'm just going to expose everything. It is a titrated thing. It is a thing that breathes and does it when the dogs allow. Let's not discredit the dogs. We allow it when it comes, and through that process, the shame started to dissipate. And I started to be able to love parts of me that are pretty much just kind of pushed off into the forest, and into a place that I feel not like I'm parts. I feel integrated, like I am a being. I don't even remember the question. I must be complete.
It reminds me of not taking one for the team.
Ah, wow. Would you say something about that?
Oh yeah, when you said like, oh yeah, I don't open an artery and bleed, and I know what you're talking about, where someone asks, it's like, can you be vulnerable for me so that I can feel connected, or can you show me your pain so that I can feel safe?
Yes.
That's real simple.
I wish it was that overt when it happened. Right? It comes in some slippery way that's like, hey, would you feel a lot so I can feel something? It usually doesn't come in that directly because it's a lot easier to say no to when you know that's happening.
Well, there's another really interesting question about moving from kind of emergedness to really feeling and knowing and trusting your separate self. And then I think there's another version of oneness, and I think you're really fluid in all of those territories. So I wonder if you can speak to like knowing yourself separately from others and also the interconnectedness with others.
Mm.
I'm throwing you softballs.
Huh?
I'm throwing you softballs, jokingly.
You're right. I'm going, that was not a softball, but it's a deer ball. Dear as in dear to me thing. I think it feels like this in me. I have a sense of myself, a very sovereign sense of me. And there's almost like a self with a capital S. And it extends into you. It extends into that thing that's beyond me, that's greater than me. But it's got my fingerprints on it. It's not a dissolving, it's a larger thing. It's a breathe. I don't know how to say it. But it has a sense of oneness. But it isn't a dissolving. It's a oneness that has all of us in it. And I can taste you and you in the oneness. I didn't lose you. I gained us.
Just letting that settle. It's putting me in a really nice state.
World weave, yes.
There was a question earlier about when is the growl appropriate? How do you know? How do you discern? And what's the connection between anger and boundaries? If you could say more about that.
Mm-hmm. Oh. I can't tell you when it's appropriate. It's not like there are certain parameters or whatever. It's just, it rises. And I trust it, even if what's going to happen is that what I was upset about isn't really true. It arose to be understood. It arose to find out more. It is bringing what you got. It doesn't have to be right. It has an expression, and if I own it, see the thing that we long to do here is to own that what's happening for me is mine. And so I even bring my growl with a sense of just this is what I'm experiencing is my growl. I trust it more and more. I'm finding it pretty accurate at the moment. But I wouldn't say it's 100%. It's just trustable in that it's expressing.
And one of the things I know about you is that you have really taken from the beginning, every bit of insight you're talking about, you've gotten in circling, you've instantly applied it everywhere else. In your other relationships. I wonder if you can kind of take us home, literally and figuratively, about how this works in your relationship. And you've just got so many family and friends that don't do anything like this and never even considered meditating or being embodied.
Mm-hmm. I don't need them to be for me to be close to them. Part of what happens is that the more I'm me and I'm trustable in me, then I'm present with people. I'm present with people who would never consider circling, that would never consider any of this, and they feel it. And sometimes they go, is this what you do? Oh my God, I just told you something I never tell anybody. And I wasn't trying to get them to tell me something. It's a way, it's a being, it's a breathing that just it doesn't make everybody, some people go away. Some people have left. But the ones that have stayed, I love those relationships. And the noticing, this practice helps us to notice what's happening in another person, to notice that little thing in their face or that sound in their voice, the exquisite thing that others don't notice. And so I don't know anyone who doesn't love being seen in that way. And then there's a way in this practice that we begin to communicate things that I think formally there's no way I would ever have been able to say that honestly. But somehow they know it's love, because it really is. I think before things had mustard on them, and they don't have mustard as in, like, it may sound okay, but really there was a lot of mustard on what I just said. And there's less of that. There's a lot more cleanness. So it just extends everywhere in your life. It extends to the person that's checking you out at the Macy's, and I had this amazing meeting with this woman in Macy's, where I still think of it. It was 2 minutes long. But in that moment we met, and I'll never forget it. And that has become what makes life worth living, is the richness of what's available.
Gives me almost like a vulnerable feeling in my belly, like a good, tender, exposed. To hear you speak of that. That richness making life worth living. In those little moments, even in I first thought you meant you were being checked out, like, this woman was hitting on you, but then I realized you meant the cashier.
No, it was, she'd been standing, it was at Christmas, and there's this long line, there were like 20 people, and I'm in the line. And I get up there and I go, and she's older and she's kind of hunched. And I go, oh my gosh, you must be exhausted. This line is so long. And she looked up at me, and she goes, and she trembled a little bit, and she said, every day is the same. And every night is the same. There was so much hopelessness. There was so much despair. And I just looked at her and nodded, and there were tears. And then she had finished, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is just opened wide up, and she's got 15 people behind me. And I said, I'm going to pray that something is different for you today. And I walked away and I went, oh, well, I was the thing that was different for her. Somebody's star.
Do you have any more stories like that bring tears to our eyes?
I'm sure I do, but I can't think of them right now.
I'm wondering, maybe with your family or at Christmas, or maybe not.
Yeah, let's see. There's just the noticings, like the moment at dinner when something is really cool. And the ability to notice it and speak to it, to go, oh my gosh, I just want you to know how amazing this moment is. And I'm so grateful to be with you all. and
And they all raised their glasses and we all cheered to the moment, right? And none of these people are circlers. But there was, you know, we all were just in that moment of, yes, you know, here's to us. These moments are available everywhere. I don't have any more stories. I know that I'm supposed to go for a whole hour, unless someone else has a question or something.
I love it, and yeah, we've just got a few minutes left, so it's perfect just seeing what's here and getting the love. If anyone does have any last questions, yeah, go ahead and type them in now. Otherwise, we can just enjoy your being.
Did you start with the 10-week course or oh, you're talking to somebody else about the 10-week course or the membership?
It's a beautiful conspiracy.
How to connect with an avoidant person. That's a long one. But that, you know, you'll never go wrong bringing your heart and your boundaries. Because an avoidant person can call on your boundaries as well as your heart. That would be my simple answer, which isn't enough, but that's what strikes me in the very beginning. Yeah.
It's another question of if you have another visual analogy similar to the dogs for passive aggressiveness or the kind of silent treatment.
Oh my gosh. I used to be really passive aggressive. So, because, you know, I was never angry. So, I think I have one and I can't remember it right now. But yeah, it's almost like they've stuck a knife in you and going, no, I didn't. I didn't stick a knife in you. Now, that hole in your side, that's not mine. And, you know, it has that, what do you do with it? But I think the best way to talk about it is just in the impact, right? Regardless of they did or they didn't, the impact on me is I feel terrible, or this hurts, or I want to move away from you. Even if you didn't say something, it feels like you said something, right? It just being in your impact, you don't have to blame them at all. They're not willing to own it, right? So all you have to do is be with you. What's happening for you? That'll serve you incredibly well. Standing in your truth. Amen, sister. Yes.
Yeah. So awesome. Such a delight. Okay, there's still a lot of really good questions, and I want to encourage you to just reach out to Valerie. Not that and basically you should book a coaching session with her and get an hour of this radiance one-on-one. What's the best way that you want people to get a hold of you, Val?
You mean for coaching?
Yeah, or just in general, finding out more.
Yeah, you can email me at valerie@circlingeurope.com.
Yeah. Valerie@circlingeurope.com.
Yeah, love to hear from you.
Awesome. And any other last words before we go into the coffee break section?
Oh.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. So lovely to see you all.
Yeah, big thanks to you, Val. It's
Mm.
really, really a pleasure. So yeah, now actually I realize the antibiotic something got cut off, so I'm going to be making the breakout.